Wonderful. Well, hello and good evening. I guess you've got me for dessert tonight, which is great. I have been called worse things, but you can call me Aris. I am by day head of data at animal charity The League Against Cruel Sports, but by night I'm a volunteer for St Mungo's and their rough sleeper referral line Street Link, and it's that which I'd like to talk to you about tonight. It's a bit of a travesty that you can't really go a day in London without seeing someone homeless, either sat on the side of the street begging or even wrapped up in a sleeping bag, trying to sleep and trying to isolate themselves from the cold. It's just one of those resounding images of London, for me at least, and it's this injustice really which drove me to get involved with St Mungo's in the first place. So, homelessness, sadly, is not going anywhere. Rough sleeping is not going anywhere. According to recent figures from the homeless charity Crisis, on any given night in 2016, there were 4,134 people sleeping rough in England alone. That's a year-on-year increase of about 16%, which I'm sure you'll agree is a little bit nuts, a little bit out of control, that many people will essentially have nowhere to go and are forced to sleep on the streets every night. The single biggest cause of homelessness is, without a doubt, relationship breakdown. But homelessness can happen for any number of reasons, really. Reasons which are compounded by things such as mental illness and drug and alcohol addiction. So the key to fixing homelessness really starts with tackling the underlying causes, and for that to happen you need to get a lot of people involved. There is help out there, but more often than not, when you're working with people who have a history of homelessness, you'll find that they'll go different places to access different services, but the help is out there. There is the council, for example. That's a good place to start always. There are day centres which offer free food and advice to homeless people. There are hostels and housing projects, and there are also outreach workers who patrol the streets, well, not just the streets of London, they operate around the UK, but basically they roam the streets at night looking for rough sleepers. And as well as that, there are projects dedicated to overcoming mental illness and also addiction as well. So a big part of the issue is, despite the help being out there, there's a problem with getting people actually involved with services and connected in with the right places. And this is actually where StreetLink, the service I'm a volunteer for, comes in handy. So simply put, it is a referral line for rough sleepers. To explain it to you as simply as I can, say you're on your way home, you see someone in a sleeping bag on the side of the street, you get in touch with StreetLink and let them know. There are a number of ways you can do this. You can either give us a ring on 0300 500 0914, you can make a referral through our website, which is streetlink.org.uk, or you can use our smartphone app. And when you get in touch, when you make a referral, it's really important that you give us three major pieces of information. That is who you saw, so it could be a description of what that person looks like, their attributes, what kind of clothes they're wearing, what colour clothes they're wearing. If you are happy to speak to them, if you can tell us their name, great. If you can give us their date of birth, even better. If you could also tell us exactly where you saw them, again, postcodes are great, and also the time of day you saw them. That referral will then make its way through to one of the outreach teams I was talking about earlier, and in an ideal world, they will go out reacting on the information you've given them, find that rough sleeper, and start connecting them in with services, which I think is pretty cool. And it's here really that the data comes in. So CHAIN is the Combined Homelessness and Information Network. It's a database commissioned by the GLA, the Greater London Authority, and it's currently run under license by St Mungo's. And essentially, it allows the logging of client records and case histories. It allows us to track the movement of rough sleepers, including where people have been found rough sleeping, what services they have accessed, and what help those services have been able to offer those people. And also, maybe most excitingly for me, it's where we store all of our StreetLink referrals at StreetLink, and it's also where the outreach workers get to access them. So, in real terms, what is StreetLink? So StreetLink is a hosted Salesforce database. It lives in the cloud, and this is helpful for a number of different reasons. So StreetLink it's kind of a multi-agency database, and it's a central point of information where you've got lots of different agencies and organisations and charities accessing it and inputting information. And because of this, there's a big variation on the types of people you have logging into Chain, and there are also variations in how they access it. So because it's a hosted Salesforce database, it doesn't really matter what kind of tech you have, what OS you're running, how much processing power you've got. Chain just tends to work wherever you are, which is great. And to give you a couple of practical examples, you could be, say, a caseworker working in a hostel, sitting in an office. You've got your desktop computer there, logging into Chain, and you're logging the people who come into your hostel and leave your hostel. Or on the other side of the coin, I suppose you could say, you could be an outreach worker in the moment, on your phone, on your smartphone, accessing Chain in the moment with details of rough sleepers you encounter. So, as I said, StreetLink is used by a number of different people so it can be used in both read-write and read-only capacities. And can be used by a whole host of organisations. It's used by housing projects like the Passage and Connection at St Martin's. It's used by outreach workers, it's used by hostels, and most interestingly, it's used by a whole load of stakeholders who can access reports and detailed statistics based on aggregate information derived from Chain to give them an idea of what the homelessness situation in London is. And examples of these stakeholders could include DCLG, the Department for Communities and Local Government, also includes the Cabinet Office. It could also include, outside of the government sphere, agencies and indeed other homelessness charities like Centrepoint. So, the charity sector has been through tough times recently, and it does get a bad rep, particularly for being too insular and too siloed. And thankfully, Chain is sort of an exception to this rule, and really helps agencies to come together for the benefit of clients. To give you a very practical example of this, last year I volunteered in the advice service at a Crisis at Christmas centre. For those of you who don't know already, Crisis at Christmas is an initiative set up by the homelessness charity Crisis, where basically for 8 days over the Christmas period they open up temporary day centres and residential spaces for clients to come and really access advice and support, get all of their needs tended to by a literal army of volunteers, and probably most importantly, get a hot Christmas meal to eat around other people. And you can probably guess what's coming up. This is where Chain really comes in, because people at Crisis do access Chain for the benefit of clients. So I mentioned earlier I was on the advice service, and as an advisor it was my responsibility to give people who had nowhere to go after Crisis really an option for something to do, some service to access, basically somewhere to go that wasn't the streets after Crisis shut their doors. Because of the time-limited nature of Crisis at Christmas, because it only runs for 8 days, our time with each client is limited, and obviously we're trying to get an outcome for every person who comes into the advice service. Luckily, we had a whole army of volunteer administrators around us who would, so the way the advice service worked is we would have a row of chairs outside our office. People would just come and sort of sit on the chairs and then get seen in order. The volunteer administrators would then ask everyone just a few questions. They then looked them up on chain, and the fantastic thing is they would give us a very quick briefing before we went into the office with each guest, so we could immediately jump into a conversation about solutions and sort of make the interaction we had and the time we had as productive as possible. So to give you an example of how this works in practice, someone comes to the front of the queue, they sit down, largely they're an unknown entity. We don't know a huge amount about them. We might know their name, might know their date of birth if they're willing to share, but largely the information we know is restricted to the information they share with Crisis once they're in the centre. As I said, an unknown entity really. After a quick chat with an administrator, they can look that person up on chain, and all of a sudden, bam, we know that 3 months before Crisis, that person was staying in a housing project in Brent. Sadly, they were thrown out for drinking alcohol on the premises, in what is a dry hostel, and in homelessness lingo, that essentially means a project where you're not allowed to drink alcohol. You need to abstain from alcohol while you're on the premises. And once they were kicked out, we were then able to discover, by using chain, that person then started rough sleeping in Hounslow. They were then picked up and brought directly to Crisis. Probably one other thing I should mention, which did tend to happen, is that because we're logging quite detailed, because people are logging quite detailed stats and because we're accessing them, you tend to find out about people's habits and people's addictions, and it could turn out that this person had a history with drugs as well. So, knowing this information, I get my quick briefing before I sit down with this person. I'm then able to go into a session with them talking about solutions right away. What would I do in this solution? What would I do in this situation, even? Excuse me. My mind would immediately jump to giving them a referral to the Housing Options team at Brent County Council. I would also think of signposting them to Alcoholics Anonymous to talk about their drinking if that is an issue, because it would be incredibly tragic for that person to be admitted into another housing project just for the same thing to happen and for the cycle to repeat itself. Because of the aforementioned drugs issues, I would also probably try and sort out referral to a drugs project. So, if that wasn't cool enough, and I know I am in a room full of data people, so Chain has actually given St Mungo's the freedom to explore an alternative income stream. So, as I mentioned earlier, Chain is a commission database. It's commissioned by the GLA, belongs to the GLA. St Mungo's are paid to provide a service. That's all well and good. St Mungo's can't make any money off it, but they provide the service they're contracted to, which is all well and good and all part of the rules. Chain is mostly restricted to London. I can't really go into that now, but it's pretty much a London-centric database. And it really works for getting an idea of the homelessness situation. Local authorities around the country soon woke up to this fact, and they started reading Chain reports, and they started saying, oh, look, what's this Chain thing? It's pretty cool. And they actually got in touch with St Mungo's, and they said, look, we like what you're offering. we would like to have the same level of detail and the same level of analytics with our situation in our sort of counties or towns. Can you do something similar to us? St Mungo's found that they were in a bit of a bind because of what I was saying about them being contracted to provide a service and yada yada yada. But what they ended up doing is setting up a social enterprise called Real Systems. So even though they don't own it, in having to run it, St Mungo's had to accumulate the data nous and knowledge in order to run a database like Chain. And when they're not doing Chain stuff, the employees in the Chain team do occasionally do consulting work. So what Real Systems do is they create client management systems for other agencies and local authorities, enabling them to, enabling organisations in those areas to best communicate about what clients are up to and overall provide better outcomes for clients as well. So, what have we learned? Sharing is caring. It's very easy to sort of use the information when it's there, and it's also very helpful in preventing duplication. That being duplication, I guess you could say, of data and duplication of efforts as well. I've seen firsthand how traumatising it can be for a homeless person to have to retell their story. So, all in all, one homeless person could end up seeing 4, 5, 6, maybe more different agencies. And if they're not talking to each other, that homeless person would need to go to each individual agency and give them a story about what's going on with them, what they're up to, what their history is, which is just incredibly traumatising. But with Chain, we alleviate a lot of that angst because the information's just there. Next up, it's easy to see the big picture when you are all logging data in one place. So the data experts in the audience might have quested, I suppose we could say, in pursuit of the elusive single customer view. And I'm sure those people can tell me how much of a pain it is to take data from different places, different disparate data sets, and tie them all together. With Chain, people don't have to worry about that because the information is all there, it's all tied up already. And lastly, I suppose you could say it's easier to work together when the data's all there for the benefit of the clients, because clients really do benefit from all of this. When you are working on Chain, and I'm thinking symbolically as well as literally, it's easy to feel like you're a part of a team and that you're sort of part of something bigger than yourself. It also really plays into helping people gain job satisfaction, believe it or not. Having worked in the charity world for a while, I can tell you how important this is and how important it is not only that we achieve outcomes for our clients, but also that the information about about these outcomes is fed back to the people actually doing the work. Non-Chain, I mean, I do this when I'm at Streetling. I look up the referrals I made on my last shift and see what was done with those people, if they were found, if they were taken to an accommodation provider, if they were put into a hostel, and really what happened to them. And it contributes, I suppose you could say, to an overall peace of mind. So, the last thing I want to say is that, for better or worse, the homelessness sector has really been through hard times recently. Public sector budgets have been cut and squashed here, there and everywhere, and it's really hard for homelessness charities to do what they do. And indeed, as I mentioned earlier, the problem seems to be getting worse, but at least with systems like Chain in place, we can make sure that all organisations are using the resources they have effectively and efficiently, and they're not duplicating efforts, and really they're just doing the best they can to work together to provide good outcomes for their clients. Thank you very much. You've been wonderful.